Alrighty, so this week episode is going to be titled Meditating. And I'm just I'm basically, I wouldn't say it's an update, but it is stemming from my previous episode, Mars in Retrograde 2020. So from me, came a form of healing. I felt like I had to release that disappointment and anger and any other emotion that was inside of me, because if I didn't, it would have built up and got worse. For those who haven't seen it, go see it. A part of me was going to delete it because I just felt like it can be I'm just going to say the first word that came to my mind. I feel like it can be damaging to others. But see, that's just me being protective of other people rather than myself. Like, I don't know if I'm the only person that does this, but I'm the type of person, if I know someone did something wrong and I react, I'm the one that feel bad. And it's like, why do I really feel bad for something that I didn't cause? Maybe it's because it's against my nature to react. Maybe I could be more proactive rather than reactive. Maybe that's the case. So I'm working on me. I'm going to keep the video up for now. Not video, the audio of my last episode, because despite how I feel, I do know for a fact that I'm not the only one that's going through doing this retrograde, and I'm quite sure there's other people, and in some way, shape, or form, someone can get help from it. I feel like people shouldn't hold their anger, their frustration, their emotions in for the sake of others, because stopping yourself from expressing yourself can cause a greater stress and depression on you more than anyone else. And then you go around taking your anger out on other people, and not only they wondering what I do to you, even you wondering deep down inside, yo, what did I do to them? And it's all due to the fact that you're not expressing how you feel when you need to. So I don't regret expressing myself. I will say I'm working on how I go about expressing myself even when I am hurt. So I'm a work in progress. So I don't mind displaying that, because I'm normally going through transformations publicly anyway. So it's really nothing new. Maybe to the public, but not to me. So I just wanted to briefly touch on that before I dip into meditating, because that's what this segment is about. So I started meditating October 31st, 2018, on a day that people call Halloween. Why do I count that day as the day I started meditating? It's because that's the day that I realized how I pray was different. I'm like, is this still considered prayer? It was just like a totally different approach. Because normally when I pray, I just say, at the time, just thank you, Jesus. Just being thankful, because there were times I didn't know what to pray for. Or I would just, yeah, just mainly my gratitude. That was it. I really didn't ask for anything because prayer and requesting goes hand in hand. When you're praying for something, you are seeking for some form of clarity or guidance to a degree. And that day, October 31st, 2018, it just wasn't that. It was more of like, and I'm Christian people gonna say I'm weird, and that's fine. I will own up to my weirdness with no hesitation. But that particular day, on a Wednesday, I still remember. It was kind of like I was having a conversation with myself, but the difference was the how can I explain this? And clearly this is all stemming from the mental. I wasn't physically I never been the type of person that will physically pray out loud. This particular day I knew it wasn't prayer because I'm like, whoa, this is different. Because it was like I was having a conversation with myself, but the only difference was and still remains to this day is the way about of communicating was different. Because I'm the type of person, I don't really question things. I just go with the flow. And I look at life will reveal itself. I don't have to reveal life. So I never really questioned anything, but that particular day, I just started reflecting on everything that was going on and questioning things and tracing things back. I was very analytical at that moment. And so many things were, and I prayed for an hour. Well, meditated. It wasn't prayer. I didn't find out it was meditating until recently, because 2018 I was 22. I'm 24 now, so it took 2 years for me to realize that at that very moment, that's when I got introduced to meditating, and it was organic. It was just me and the Most High. It wasn't any interference. It wasn't a third party. Like when I got introduced to religion, there was a third party. When I met, I don't want to start stuttering, so let me calm down. So mostly everything that I was introduced to, not mostly, everything that I was introduced to before then was basically programmed. It was transferred from someone else to me. So with meditating, it was different. I'm like, wow, someone tried to, but they incorporated yoga with it. And I wouldn't say tried, they actually made an effort. I took this course my sophomore year in college, and my professor introduced us to someone who meditates, and she also does yoga. So that was my introduction to a different form of meditating. I'm like, that don't work for me. I won't be doing that ever again. I was always against meditating because I felt like it wasn't for me. That's why I'm like, no, that's not for me. But if it works for somebody else, it does. So I was ignorant basically to meditating. When I got introduced to it, I didn't realize it was meditating. I thought it was another level of praying. The difference between prayer and meditating is prayer, like I said, I probably sound repetitive, just keep repeating myself. And it's just me trying to be clear as possible, clarifying my words and what I'm saying. But anywho, like I was saying previously, when you're praying, you requesting, or when you go into praise, you're being thankful. So I was like in praise mode more than anything when I was praying, just being in like the state of gratitude and just being thankful, even for the things I didn't quite comprehend at the time. But meditating, you are actually disciplining yourself and tuning yourself out from the world and just taking that time of solitude to just find that peace, whatever that peace may be. And like I said, another synonym for meditating is reflecting. Like you can literally look it up in a dictionary or in any form of linguistics book that deals with etymology, morphology. I don't want to say the word because I don't want to mispronounce it. But there's so many different dictionaries. Yeah, I know I have probably 2 different dictionaries, but there's so many ways you can search up words. And the common denominator behind meditating, which is the whole point of me mixing dictionaries and stuff like that, is the word reflection. Like you will constantly see that word when you are tracing the term back to its original origin. You will see that common denominator. So that's just the big difference between prayer and meditating. And it has worked for me tremendously because at one point of my life, I was under fearmonger and just didn't want to face certain things in reality because I was in fear of consequences or how I would be looked upon, so forth. I feel like that's the only... Okay, let me backtrack. So I got out of fear when I became careless to a certain degree. And I feel like you do have to become careless to a certain degree. I wouldn't say completely. But when it comes to learning, you shouldn't be afraid. With meditating, reflecting is the most powerful thing I have ever tapped into because meditating is a big reason why I've grown the intellect that I have now. Like if it wasn't for the Most High introducing meditation to me, I would still be stunned. I would still be in the state of mind that I was 2 years ago. And my way of meditating is different from a lot of other people. That's another reason why I'm making this episode, because I don't meditate in a way that a lot of people meditate. They listen to certain sounds, they hear affirmations, they tap into different other things. And for me, it didn't work. So I was totally against meditating at first. And like I said, it wasn't until October 31st, 2018. And what made me realize this year that was meditating is because I was meditating at that very moment is when I realized I was meditating. I'm like, wow, I'm still doing that same method. There's a different method behind it. And I was just reflecting on how I grew. And I don't want to backtrack because I was talking about fear. So I'm going to get back to that right now before I forget. The reason why I got over fear because I stopped being afraid of questioning. I started questioning everything. I literally went through this relinquishing. I'm constantly letting go, starting over, unlearning a lot. Because to be quite frank, a lot of things that have been programmed in me were a lot of lies, misconceptions, deceit. Meditating can really knock all that out. It really can, because when I'm in the state of mind of meditating, I really have the time in a solitude to just sit back and trace everything back to its original origin. Where did this come from? How did this come about? Where did it come from? Is it secondary information or is it primary information? Is it coming from the horse's mouth? Or is it coming from someone else's? So meditating has got me, has made me more of an outcast than I already was and am. Like for this past last week and stuff, when I did my last podcast, I'm going to use that as an example of how I meditate. I look back which is another key word, is looking back. I look back at this situation like, what could I have done differently? Right now is nothing. But one thing I did say is I'm glad the Most High just held my tongue back, because there was things I wanted to say and got mad because I didn't say it. But it's like, what am I mad for? Maybe the situation could have been worse if I did say certain things. So I'm glad there were certain things I didn't say. So it's kind of like meditating for me is kind of like self-healing, self-therapeutic sections that I have with myself. That's how I would define meditating. Self-therapeutic sections. Because it really does strengthen me mentally to actually be in solitude and really get to the root of every situation that I come across. And I would recommend everybody to find what works for them. And if it's meditation, it's meditation. If it's something else, it's something else. Embrace it. Don't try to stun it by rejecting. Because rejection hurts you at the end of the day more than it hurts anyone else. So, back to 2018. That's when I started meditating. And what pushed me to that was my biggest questioning was religion. I started questioning religion out of nowhere. And I'm like, who did this come from? And I feel like, and the reason why I'm mentioning the Most High more than I would often do is because I feel like the Most High played a big part into that introduction. The biggest part. The reason why there was a part. Because I was never into it. And the fact that I was introduced to it in a different light without any intervene of a human being, and I don't want to say human being, a soul. I'm going to talk about terminology, why there's certain words I don't want to put in certain sentences. It's not because the words is wrong, it's because it's placed within the wrong scenario in the wrong sentence. But yeah, that's another story. I'm going to get to terminology. That's what I'm going to name that episode. Okay, so back to the matter. I was just introduced to it in a different light. And I'm like, yeah, that was nothing but the Most High. That's the only reason why I still believe in the Most High. Like, there's clearly someone greater than the souls that are here. Obviously, there's someone greater. My communication is just different. I can communicate with people, and I'm like, I never looked at this a certain way. I never look at it like that. I don't have a common perception. My perception is very rare. I never run across anyone with the same perception as me, or not even close or similar or any form of resemblance. It's just very rare. Sometimes I feel like the last and only of a dying breed that never got a chance to breathe, but just kind of like on life support. That's how I feel. But it's like the Most High place meditating in my life to balance me out, basically, because I didn't have balance at first. So that's how I got my introduction to meditating, by questioning religion. Out of nowhere, it wasn't premeditated either. It was not something that I planned on doing. It was not, and that's another thing about me. When I say something, I've already premeditated. I already made up my mind, and I'm just going to say it. It's like I'm very calculated to a degree. And when I got introduced to meditating, it wasn't like that. It just came, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, because clearly it came from somewhere, the Most High. But it just came at a very unexpected moment. And I started questioning religion, and I got my answers. I didn't get it within that one day because, whew, religion wasn't born yesterday. So it took time. And I'm quite sure there's still more to know, because there's no limit to knowledge. There's still more to learn. I will forever be a student, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather be a student than someone rebellious against knowledge. I'm gonna put it that way. I don't want to be rebellious against knowledge. Whether it's right or wrong, at least I'm learning. So, meditating, questioning religion, and after religion, there was like I just looked at the world differently. Okay, I'm questioning this, I'm questioning that, and started taking notes. I haven't really prayed after that. I just started meditating more, and that's when I felt like I had my breakthrough mentally, because before then I did feel like there was a stumbling block. I did feel like I was stunning my own growth. Like I didn't feel worthy of anything. I just felt lost, like a puppet that was tired of being pulled, strings being pulled. I just felt drained, so drained. And that's a term that I use a lot, because that's a term that's clearly been the most effective in my life. I wouldn't say the number one most effective thing in my life, but it's up there. So, yeah, that was my introduction. In around 2019, I've gotten to the point where, okay, I feel like I know everything about religion now. Nope. There's still more to learn. And then I learned about so many other things just from meditating. And it's like I needed to learn those things in order to progress and go to where I need to go. And meditating has changed my outlook on everything, just not one particular thing, which I've been talking about religion for quite a bit, a little bit. Quite a bit, a little bit, that kind of rhymes. Anywho. See, deep down inside, I'm a rapper, y'all. Deep down inside, I wouldn't say rapper, but like a lyricist. It's a difference, because some people just mumble when they rap, which it's very popular now. Mumble rap is popular. But let me not get off topic, which I'm known to do. Meditating has helped me and change my outlook on every single thing, just not religion, but my relationships with people, like my family. So when I say relationships, I'm talking about family. it changed my outlook on when I say everything, I mean everything. From the way I breathe to how I walk, how I talk, who I know, why, that just every single thing. It changed my outlook. Because before then, I was kind of ignorant. Like, people who knew me then knew that, like, okay, this girl is, she's firm in what she stands for. And I'm still the same way. It's just, once I know something that I feel to be true, I'm going to stick to it. But if it get tested and it fails, I don't want to be a part of something that falls, that can easily be destroyed. If I'm going to stand for something firm, it needs to be firm and cannot be moved. Oh, I'm going to speak on certain topics. I want to speak on it so bad, but I'm not, because it doesn't, it can tie into this, but it'll kind of ruin my other episode. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. But yeah, like, I learned so much through if I didn't learn nothing else through meditation, I learned that the truth doesn't need attention, for the attention is already within the truth. The truth doesn't need to be defended, for the defense is already within the truth. That's why a lot of people can't handle the truth. That's why a lot of people say the truth hurts. The truth only hurts to those with open wounds. When your wounds have been healed, the truth will not hurt you. If anything, the truth will boost your confidence. The truth will provide confirmation, affirmation, any type of mation there is. Formation. The truth only hurt those who are not built for it. And it's not because you don't have the right tools, it's because you're not using the tools that you already have. For whom may need to hear that. So that's one thing about meditation for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but when it comes to me, meditation is no joke. If you want to get off to meditation, the key term that I would give you in regards of advice will be honesty. You have to be honest with yourself. If you're going to start meditating, be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. There's enough lies on this earth as it is. Don't contribute to it. Meditating is nothing to play with. Be honest. If you ain't gonna be honest to anybody else, be honest with yourself. Because that's what I had to do. And I had no problem with doing that. When I say meditating changed my whole outlook on everything, it really did. I low-key, it was high-key to some people that knew me personally. And there's some people, it was like 1 or 2 people. But the 2 people who do know me personally, and even if you do know me personally, you don't know the fullness of me. There's so many layers to me. I'm still learning all the layers to me. So I know don't nobody know me better than me. I'm still learning who I am. So I know for a fact that nobody know me well enough. But anywho, I'm going to talk briefly about my parents a little bit. I'm not going to get too much into it, because it's about meditation, right? The few people who do know me a bit know that I was bitter about in the way that my parents went about parenting. Well, mainly my mom, because things happened in regards to my dad, so he didn't raise me. One thing I will say though, I don't hold any grudges against him. I don't hate him. There's love for him. And I will talk more about him in a whole different episode. And my mom too. But the reason why I'm mentioning them too is because when I start meditating, see, when you meditate, you're reflecting. And when you're reflecting, you're tracing things back. Therefore, you don't even have to question things because you're already getting the answers just from simply looking and tracing things back. Like, I had an issue with the way my mom was parenting me as a kid and even as a young adult for the longest. It wasn't to last year, was I 23? It was during the time I got introduced to meditating and started meditating. I had just I didn't like our parenting style. I feel like it was unhealthy, it's toxic, and in some cases it is. But one thing that I learned from meditating is that, did she have those things you are looking for within her? Is what I asked myself. And I'm going to give the Most High credit for that, because the best way the Most High is going to communicate to you is through you. And a lot of people are not really in tune with themselves, and you have to be in tune with yourself if you really want to hear the Most High in thy purest form. Because the Most High used the most familiar voice there is, which is your own voice. And you will know when you are the Most High, because you know the way you communicate. And you know how you don't communicate. I don't question myself. I can't speak for everybody else, but I don't question myself. And when I heard myself, it's like I was hearing myself on a recording. I heard myself ask myself that. And I'm like, yeah, that's the Most High interfering. Like, did she have what you wanting out of her growing up? And I was like, nah, let me look back. And she didn't. Like, there was issues with her mom. She was partly raised by my grandmother, my great-grandmother to be exact. So it's like, how can I expect her to be the best mom she can possibly be when she didn't even have the best mom she needed? And that's how my healing started to come about. And that's when I realized I was meditating. Because I've been meditating, like I said, since October. I hope I didn't say August. October 31st, 2018. So that was like 2 years. It'll be 2 years now. Yeah, it'll be 2 years this year. On the 31st, on Halloween. So at that very given moment, that's when I'm like, let me look up, like, I'm not going to say something told me. I'm just going to give the Most High credit and say the Most High put it on my brain. Just like, meditate, look up the definition of meditation. And I saw the word reflecting. I saw other words too, but that word stood out. I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm reflecting. I'm tracing things back. I'm really connecting the dots here. And I'm like, wow. So that's what I'm going to start doing. And that's how I discovered that I was really meditating, is when I reflected on my mom's relationship with her mother. And I was like, wow, this is what I'm going to start doing, because I see the benefits. And I looked at my mom totally different from that day on. Like, I don't hold any bitterness against her. She never knew. She never knew. Anyway, I never came to her. She's not the approachable type. She's not the type that you would want to go up to her and tell her those things as her child. She can be very intimidating with her approach. She's a fire sign like me. She's a Sagittarius sun, and I'm an Aries sun. Now that I have a deeper comprehension of astrology, I make sure to say sun, because we are introduced by our ego, which is the sun. The month and the day that you were born is what you're most represented by. Is that the most accuracy? No. People need to look at the ruler of the chart. The ruler of the chart is the first planet, the closest to your ascendant. That's another story for when I talk about astrology. But I say that to say this. I'm going to say this about astrology, then I'm going to go back to meditating. Having your sun in a particular sign doesn't define you as a whole. You're just introducing your ego when you tell people, hey, I was born, for example, I was born April 10th. So that means my sun in Aries. Like, hey, my sun in Aries. But that doesn't define me as a whole soul, a whole complete soul. There's 11 other layers. There's 12 remedies that formulate the identity of the soul. And those 12 remedies are the 12 zodiacs. So I'm going to talk more about that in that astrology. I just wanted to put that out there. And it's very important to look into it. So back to what I was saying for my mom. We both fire signs, so of course there's going to be some times where we clash. She has her own way of viewing things. I have my own way. I'm not going to say the only child of hers because she has 3 kids. And my sister, she's a tough one. She's a Gemini. But me and my mom, which is the opposite of my mom. The opposite. My mom come off as a fixed sign. So I don't know what her rising sign is, but whatever her rising sign is, I guarantee you it's a fixed sign. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Leo. I wouldn't be surprised. Her Dakin in Leo. But that's, see, now I'm getting off into astrology because it all ties in. I'm telling y'all, like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to talk about it. No, I'm not going to say it's going to be the next because, I never know what's going to pop up. But yeah, so me and my mom, we bump heads. But as I'm getting older and more mature and meditating, my mom she face to face, I heard her say I'm the worst child of hers. That's how she liked to call it, but I digress. I disagree strongly. Although she may appear to feel that I'm the worst child she got, I don't bother to argue with her. I don't like arguing. So through meditating, I learned how to navigate through the dislikes of her. So my mom has no problem expressing herself aggressively. So when me and her having a conversation and she don't like how the conversation is going, I stop talking and back away. Because if I don't, she's going to be defensive, aggressive about it within her tone. So I prevent stuff from like that happening because I learned the signs. I learned to examine the soul of just not her, but anyone actually. Because I don't like to argue with people. I will if I have to. Sometimes people do need to argue. Sometimes it's the only way you can really see how a person really feel about you. I'm telling you, if you want to know how somebody truly feel about you, start joking around with them or see how they react when they get angry. See how they react. Now, joking around, that's a different topic. Some people don't know how to joke. You don't throw low blows at people and then crack a smile and start laughing. Like, some things, not everything is funny. It's basically what I'm saying. So, yeah, meditating has evolved me tremendously. It has. And I'm not going to say no names, but there was a person that used to say, "You're not praying right." Or they would talk indirectly towards me. Like some people that they don't say nothing. It's like, why do I have to communicate externally? I don't need validation. I don't need to prove myself that I have a relationship with the Most High. So I don't need to do that. I communicate best when it's internal. The Most High care about the intent, not validation. So clearly that person is just stroking their ego, running their mouth. These souls on this planet can be something else, y'all, and they actually are indeed something else. Very low vibration that a lot of people carry. I'm not going to say everyone. But yeah, what else I could say about meditating? I would encourage people to try it if you never tried it before. Try it your way. Don't do it other people's way. Do what works for you. Like, if you like to listen to certain sounds for you to meditate, do that. Some people sun gaze. Sun gaze are not for me. I've learned through meditating to not criticize people. It's a difference between judging and criticizing. People say don't judge. When you telling people don't judge, you're telling them don't be honest. Look at an actual judge in a courtroom. Judges are needed. Matter of fact, I'm not going to even touch deep on it. Because I just let it sink in. For those who get it, you get it. If you don't, I feel sorry for you. There's a reason for everything. Now, is every judge good? No. There's always going to be a rotten apple in some form of a bunch. Yeah, if you're good judges, bad judges, good cops, bad cops. I'm not going to even... I'm going to touch on it, but not on this. I'm going to talk about police brutality and all that. Here's my thing about good versus bad. You have to have discernment. Discernment does not mean knowing the difference between good and bad. Discernment is knowing the difference between what's right and what's almost right. That's discernment. So, tap into discernment. I'm going to say this about cops because it's on my mind, and I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to leave it alone. The good cops are the ones that got fired for standing up for what's right. Those are the good cops. Let me say that again. The good cops are the ones that got fired for standing up for something that was right, even if it went against who they work for. So I'm going to leave it at that. But like I said, I'm going to touch on police brutality. I'm going to touch on it. And I learned all that through meditating. You see how everything connects? I might do a video on... See, I'm meditating right now. That's the thing about meditating, y'all. I can meditate anywhere at any given time. I could be in a room full of loud mouth people, 100 people, and I'm very good at... That's a gift. I don't care what nobody... That is a gift. When you have the ability to tune people out and tune people in, I wouldn't try doing that at once. It can give you a migraine. Health-wise, I was feeling drained physically not too long ago, but when I started talking to you guys and ladies, it's like I feel better now. my migraine is going away. Like, because I had a migraine before I did this episode. So clearly meditating can help you health-wise, physically. It's to me, well, I'm not going to say you, it's helping me. Because to each his own, right? So I would encourage people to do what's best for them and how they go about it. Someone else's approach may not be your approach. So don't feel like you have to do something a certain way because someone else did it. Because I never came across anyone that meditate like I do, ever. And I don't feel weird. At first I did. until I tapped into myself on a deeper level. And it's like, nah, embrace you, all of you. Even the flaws of you. Embrace it all. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm embracing it all. I'm at a point in my life where if I do fall, being that I have failed numerous of times, I know how to get up. Even if I fall to the point that I am bruised and cannot get up, I know how to crawl because I crawled before I walked. So I say that to say this. For every set there's a rising. Whether it be a setback or not, you can overcome anything. You truly can. I hope I'm making sense to y'all. But yeah, meditating is the best thing the Most High could ever present it to me. Seriously, the best thing that was ever presented. And what makes it more special is the Most High showed me a different form of meditating. It wasn't another soul that came to me and introduced this way of how I meditate. Like, I don't know anyone who meditate like I do. I really don't. Maybe I'll come across someone. But this is, meditating has played a big part in my healing process. It really did. And notice I said process. It's an ongoing process. I'm going to always heal from something. As long as I have a subconscious and a conscious, I'm going to always heal from something. And my rising sign, aka ascended, is Scorpotarian, which is Scorpio conjunct Sagittarius. Scorpio is dealing with the internal. Sagittarius is dealing with the external. I'm a combination of both, so I have to address both in order to see everything in full that's meant for me to see. So, yeah, I just learned that 2 days ago, if not 3. So, all through meditating. If you hadn't learned nothing else from this episode, know this. No one can learn you better than you. Everyone have a story. If you don't believe you have a story, start tracing your life back from now to when you was born. You are in control of your narrative, not the world. For the world is just a planet. The people within it has their own individual stories. How could they juggle their story and your story all in one? That they looking for a train wreck if they do that. You have some people like that. They greedy. They want their story. But if they don't even want to tell their story, they just want to tell your story and make a profit out of it. That's a different story. But yeah, so if y'all didn't learn anything else from this episode, know that knowing thyself is the most powerful thing you can do is to know yourself. That's the most powerful thing you can do. And if you don't know yourself, learn yourself. And I already told y'all a few seconds ago, like literally trace your origin back from now to when you was born. Where you was born, why your parents was in this area, this and that, question everything. For real. Whew. And for whatever you question, you're going to get your answers. You might not get it today, but you're going to get your answers. So, yeah, meditating is the best thing the Most High has introduced to me. And I'm going to share with the world how I meditate. And hopefully y'all see it manifest through my work, through any and everything that I touch. I wouldn't even say work, but through any and everything that I touch. Because I'm going to touch on corporates and working and stuff like that. I'm going to touch on all that. So, yeah. Meditating is what's keeping me going. The Most High is the fuel behind the force. So, that's all I have. I'm quite sure this is going to be my longest episode, too. If you listen all the way through, thank you. You're a true trooper, and I rock with you. I really do. I rock with you the long way. Thank y'all. Salute. And peace.